If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would have a basketball because I won't be bored.
Si estuviera varado en una isla desierta, me gustaría tener un hacha, porque la puedo usar para cortar árboles.
Y a mí me gustaría tener un encendedor para hacer fuego.
Dale tú.
Si estuviera parada en una isla desierta, me gustaría tener un machete, porque así me serviría para hacer una casa o cortar madera.
Y a mí me gustaría tener una red de pescar, porque así no moriría de hambre.
Si estuviera varado en una isla desierta, me gustaría tener una lanza para pescar.
Okay. If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a lighter because a lighter is able to start a fire to keep myself warm.
I would want to have a first aid kit because I feel like you could find everything else in the island but something to cure yourself when you're sick.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would bring a lifetime supply of Burger King spicy chicken nuggets because so I won't feel hungry.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would bring water so I don't die of dehydration.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a knife so I can cut down supplies.
And I would get matches so I can cook the animals.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to bring J-Hope because he's my hope.
I would want to have my mom because she's helpful and I love her.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have my dad because we make a good team and he's really helpful.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have my best friend Melanie to keep me company.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would bring sunscreen so I wouldn't burn.
I would want to have my mom because she would take care of me and I love her.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have Ashley, my cousin, because she's fun to hang around with.
I would want to have V because he's smart, creative, and caring.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a Bible because it will keep me busy and I will have hope to leave the deserted island.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would have a waterproof lighter so I can have warmth and I can cook my food.
If I was in a desert island, I would drink lots of water so I don't get thirsty.
If I was stranded on this desert island, I would want to have a sword to slice a tree into create lands to eat fish.
If I was stranded on a desert island, I would want to bring my favorite Twilight book because I can read it over and over again.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a hatchet because it's a multifunction tool and Brian used it in the book Hatchet.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would have to bring my dog because she gives me company.
I would want to have water because I don't want to die quick.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a fish net because I want to get fishes.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a machete because I could use it for protection and hunting.
If I were stranded on a desert island, I think I'd bring my dad because he's creative.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would bring a hunting knife so I could get food and other sorts of supplies.
Word. If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have some sort of tool to help me, like find things to get away out of there.
I would like to bring a satellite phone to make contact with the outside world.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have Carolina because she's smart and she'll do everything for me and she still does that anyway, so.
I would have my best friend because I would collect resources with them.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have my dad because I love him.
I would want to have a basketball because ball is life.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want
my family to keep me company.
I would want matches so that I could be able to boil water and food.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would bring my brother because we can work together and he would help me survive.
If I were on a desert island, I would bring my family because I wouldn't imagine being alone.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a knife because it could not only just be used for protection, but to hunt too.
I would want to bring a knife because it could build a shelter and hunt.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a knife because I could hunt animals.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a machete so that I could hunt and build protection.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have rope because I could do special things with the rope.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would have sunscreen so I wouldn't get sunburned.
And I would have a pocket knife because I can use it for protection and hunting.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a lighter because I could stay warm and cook food.
I would want to have a tent because I need shelter.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would bring my older brother because he could protect me.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would bring a knife because I need to protect myself and hunt.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have my best friend because I would have somebody to keep me company.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a bed because I'm going to spend most of my time sleeping comfortably.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a machete to build shelter and for protection.
I would want to have my family because then I would never be alone and I would have people to take care of.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have bug spray so I wouldn't get Zika.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a gun to hunt the animals that I would eat.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would have a flashlight so I could see in the dark.
And I would have a blanket so it can keep me warm at night.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a flare gun because it would allow me to signal to nearby ships and planes and they could be able to rescue me.
I would want to have a pocket knife because it'll make it easier for me to cut my food.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I will have a monkey to keep me company.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have an axe because you can use an axe to gather resources and to hunt.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a fishing net because I want to catch fish and eat it.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a bed because I want to sleep.
If I was stranded on a desert island, I would want to have a notebook because I love writing and I would want to write every day.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a blanket because I'll stay warm and yeah.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have water so I wouldn't die of dehydration.
I would want to have a machete so I can build a shelter to keep me safe.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would have to have a blanket because I want to sleep.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would bring a lighter to make a campfire.
I would want to bring a knife to cut things.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to bring a hatchet to cut down wood and make a boat.
And I would want an unlimited supply of watermelon because it's a mixture of food and water, and I can use the seeds to plant more watermelons.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I'd want to have a flare gun because I could signal boats and airplanes to come and save me.
I would want to have an axe because it's an efficient tool and a weapon all in one.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a pocket knife so I could hunt out animals.
And I would have an axe so I could cut down wood for materials.
If I was stranded on a desert island, I would want to have Louis Cruz so he could help me build stuff, and catch animals.
I would bring my brother Shane just to keep me company, and he would die first, so.
Thank you, Louis.
Welcome.
Si estuviera varado en una isla desierta, me gustaría tener un cuchillo porque sería más fácil cortar la comida.
Me gustaría tener un encendedor porque podría hacer fuego y estar caliente.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have my best friend because I would have someone to talk to.
If I were stranded on a desert island, I would have a bed because I would like to have my people and take care of. I would like to have a fire so I can fire and I can warm all the
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a flare gun because I can shoot it up in the sky for help.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have matches because I can make a fire and send a smoke signal out.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a knife because I could hunt things.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would like to have a tarp because I can sleep the whole night in a bed. I will have a net to show us
If I were stranded on a desert island, I would want to have a water plant.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a raft because I would use it as a bed and as a boat.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a saw because I can use it to cut down trees to make shelter.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a machete to help me build my shelter. I would want to have an axe because it would be easier to gather supplies.
If I was stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a hammock so I have a place to sleep.
If I were stranded on a desert island, I would want to have my chair because it's going to make me easy for making shelter.
I wouldn't want to have water because he couldn't hide away. No sé qué pedo.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want to have a first aid kit because if I got hurt, I would be able to heal myself. Does that make sense?